Beautiful. All right. Well, hello, and welcome everyone to the BG5 Live. Great to have each and every one of you here with us today, whether you are live here in our Zoom room, whether you're watching via the recording. It is great to have you here, or whether you're watching live on Facebook as well. So today we are going to take a look at being alert to the rational patterns for material success. Today is October 31st, so happy Halloween for anyone who celebrates Halloween. It is October 31st, 2023. This is episode 4 of 2023. And let's get started by saying hello to our panel. So let's start with Shelly. Shelly, we've missed you the last couple of weeks. If you'd like to say a quick hello.
Well, hello, everybody. It's great to be back. I was away on a little journey that was lots of fun, and happy to be back now and part of this. So hope to be able to be here each week.
Beautiful. Well, welcome, Shelly. Great to have you back. And let's go to Natalie. Hello, Natalie. Welcome.
Hi, yes, I'm happy to be here again. And I don't know if we're still introducing ourselves or if that part is now familiar. Yeah, I'm Dutch. I live in the Netherlands, and I also teach in the institute, so in Dutch.
Beautiful. And Natalie has a foundation course that is starting in November. So we'll talk about it a little bit later on. In 2 weeks. So if you are Dutch and want to join Natalie's class, this is the time to jump in and do so. So beautiful. Well, welcome, Natalie. And let's go to Boris. Hello, Boris. Welcome.
Hey, Karen. Hello, everyone. Good evening, good day, wherever you are in the world. My name is Boris Nedved, as you might know already, for the ones who participated already. I'm German, live since 20 years in Switzerland, close to Lausanne at Lake Geneva, and I'm happy to be here again and to talk about Trait 44 today. To learn something new for myself as well, because I don't have it.
Exactly. Well, beautiful. Welcome, Boris. Great to have you here. And let's go to Chris. Hello, Chris. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me back here again. I really enjoy these panels, and I'm an Express builder, and I'm also in BG5 certification. So thank you so much.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Chris. And my name is Karen Sherwood, one of your co-hosts and leading us through this BG5 Live. Again, I'm also an instructor at the BG5 Institute and also part of BG5 Solutions, which is a coaching and consulting firm that also allows us to work with individual clients and teams and leaders in delivering this information of BG5. So let's dive into our trait for the day. And again, if you are wondering, do you have trait 44 in your design that we're going to be taking a look at? You can go to the BG5businessinstitute.com and you can download your free chart. And 44 is right here. So take a look to see if you have trait 44 or not. And if you are here live in our Zoom room, we would love to hear from you and your experience if you do have trait 44, or if you have experience with maybe a family member, someone you're familiar with, maybe a client that has trait 44 and how that has shown up. So today's theme, again, is trait 44, alertness, alert to the rational patterns of material success. So trait 44 is part of the material way. And one of the things that's very interesting, I thought what I would do is start by wrapping up October and all of the traits that we have taken a look at so far, because they really start to tie together. This can help you, if you happen to be a student, it can help you remember what these traits are, but it also gives us an outline, if you are in the business world, of how things really get something new, gets adapted and accepted by the tribe and ultimately the collective. So it's interesting, as we wrap up October, we have been taking a look at all of the traits of the survival instinct. And so it started in the 18, which is collective. This is wanting to correct something that is, in a sense, not joyful. It is correcting things that are out of place, correcting what's been spoiled. So it starts with the 18. We have the 48 of this feeling of inadequacy. Both of these are collective. So then the individual jumps in and takes hold. This is where we started. Our BG5 Live is in trait 57 this year. This intuitive clarity to know what needs to be innovated. So we need to correct something. We feel inadequate. So trait 57 takes a look at the intuitive clarity that can sense what needs to be innovated or not. I have a picture here of the two light bulbs. Again, we've had the same light bulb for forever. And we can see, okay, what needs to be changed, right? We have maybe what was needs correcting is that the modern or the old-fashioned light bulb takes up a lot of energy. And so we need to take a look at how can we create a light bulb that doesn't use as much energy. So trait 32 comes along with continuity. And this is to know what needs to be transformed and what needs to stay the same. So if we take a look at these two light bulbs, again, there are things that need to stay the same for continuity. You have lights and they need to be able to screw into the same areas where they were before. If you change it completely, then you have to get completely new lamp fixtures. So taking a look at what needs to stay the same, we can see in a sense the shape still stays the same, but the technology behind it is different. So the 32 is the continuity to know what needs to be transformed and what needs to stay the same. Then trait 50, we move to trait 50, and trait 50 is what's new. Is it aligned with our values or not, right? If our values are to save energy, to not use as much energy, is the LED light bulb going to be aligned with those values that we can transform? Now, the 28 actually happened last week. We haven't covered the 28 because now we've moved on to the 44, but this is about being willing to take a risk to get something new out there. So once again, it returns to the individual with the 28 of being willing to take a risk to get something out there. And then what we're going to take a look at today is ultimately it comes back to the tribe. So we start with the collective, we move to the individual, we go through the 32 and the 52, which are both tribal, returning to the individual in the 28 to take a risk, because it takes a risk to get something new and different and innovative out into the world. And then the 44, if it is aligned with our values and we're willing to take the risk, the 44 brings it back to the tribe, and it has the ability to manipulate the memory and the ego to transmit and incorporate what is new into the material way of the tribe. So I thought that was just kind of an interesting way of how these all connect, especially if you're taking a look at it from a business perspective. So ultimately, when we're taking a look at the trait 44 is the last trait of purpose fulfilled through bonding, through connecting. It is the last trait of the quarter of duality. And so one of the things that we'll notice right away, if we take a look at the life work themes, we can see it's the life work theme of the 4 ways. The 4 ways is, in a sense, the bridge. It is the last trait in each quarter before we move into the next quarter. And the next quarter that we're going to be moving into is transformation. So this is purpose fulfilled through bonding. It is the last trait. It is about the life work themes are the 4 ways. This is also about alertness, which is the name of the trait, and also incarnation, because it has to do with our physical incarnation, right? It has to do with the material world. It is part of the material stream. It is part of the material way. It is also our instincts, specifically smell. So it's all about smell. It is also deals with our immune system as well. So we can see that the 44 is quite powerful. The 44, alertness, this is coming to meet. And the fear that is here is the fear of the past. Now, the definition here is the success of any interaction is based on the absence of any preconditions. This means that it is alert in the moment, and it is alertness moment by moment versus, in a sense, based on the past or based in the future. It really is this alertness in the now. So it is based on the absence of any preconditions, so it can know in the moment if it is right to transmit, this is part of the strength, transmit this whatever is new to the tribe for the material success. Now, on the other side, we have the 24. So it's grounded in rationalization. This is the return. This is the natural and spontaneous process of transformation and renewal. So again, this is, in a sense, 24 is the last trait. It's also part of the 4 ways. It is the last trait before it moves into purpose fulfilled through form. So when we take a look at alertness, and specifically alertness when it comes to business, trait 44 is, in a sense, the personnel manager, kind of like the 32 is the HR manager. The 44 is the personnel manager, or what I like to call the talent handler. Why is it the talent handler? Because it's pointing directly towards the ego. It is basically the one that manages the ego. So part of the job of trait 44 is to handle and manipulate the egos of others for the good of the material success of the tribe. Right. And so again, if we want to get something new out there, the tribe has to know why it's of benefit to the tribe. And this is also someone who can smell success. So if we take a look at it as the personnel manager or the talent handler, it is the one that sees, oh, this person can really rise up the ladder. You know, I can smell that they can be really successful. Or they can smell a rat. They can smell that something's not quite right or something that is off. So this particular trait is connected to the nose, and it's also smelling, but it's a deeper sense of smelling. It's actually the lymphatic system. It is, in a sense, an overall sense, and it may not be consciously what you smell, but it's almost like you can kind of sense it in a deeper way, or a deeper sense of what smell is all about. And there is alertness in the moment. And again, it is being alert in the moment without any preconditions. There is an alertness in the moment to what is healthy and what is not healthy. Once again, this is also a part of our immune system. It's immune system. It's part of our memory. Again, it's part of smell. And what's the fear that is associated, because this is the survival instinct, and the survival instinct, each of the traits have a fear associated with them. So this is the fear of the past. So this is the fear of the past as part of the memory stream that shapes the tribe's material orientation. So it is about remembering patterns for living that have successfully provided for the tribe's material needs or not, right? So it's making sure this is, especially the 44 when it's connected to the 26, which Shelley, you have that particular strength, is really about the transmitter. It is about transmitting the message to the tribe. The 44 kind of makes sure that everything's aligned, whereas the 26 that's on the other side is the salesperson. So Natalie and I both have the 26. So we have the harmonic trait on the other side of the 44. So the 44 kind of brings the 26 back to earth, and, because the salesperson can sometimes sell things that may not necessarily be realistic. And so the 44 also brings the 26 back to earth. Again, that talent manager or the talent handler as well. So with that, I would love to kick things off, because I know, Shelley, you have the strength of the transmitter. You have the 44-26. So I would love to have you start us off with how this strength shows up, and how 44 is a part of this strength of the transmitter.
Well, yeah. Thanks, Karen. Just listening to you describe it again, of course, I always pick up something new that I hadn't heard or thought of before. But just as you're speaking, I'm having memories of, especially when I worked in a large organization. This was a lot of my role. I was typically a manager, usually looking after a team of people who were the talent. And it was my job to make sure I had them all on the same page, and that they were moving towards the same goal, and that I could manage each of their egos. So they each got what they needed to be able to contribute effectively to the team. And a lot of it was, I had a lot of corporate knowledge and corporate memory. So I knew what had gone on before, what we had tried in the past. I have the 3-5. I'm a trial and error and a messenger. So constantly trying new things, bringing through transformations. I worked in large organizations in the IT world where I was bringing in new software systems and solving business problems with technology. So I was often dealing with developers and graphic designers, and I can't tell you the number of times I ended up in the middle of sorting talent out who were squabbling with each other, who each wanted it their way, and it was my job to kind of smooth the waters to make sure we could just move forward with the project. So listening, a lot of listening, and a lot of helping each other understand what needed to be done and transmitting the message. So a lot of the 26 is that sales and marketing. It's almost about understanding what needs to be done, knowing what needs to happen in the now, and then selling it to the team or the people that I'm working with, so that we can have everybody on the same page with a clear message and everybody moving forward. So I have the 45 as well. So I often just ended up in that management position of managing a team of people. I also had my own web design studio where I had about 10 people working for me. Same deal. I was usually the one managing the talent. And the sense of smell is really interesting. When we were and the fear of the past. I know when I first started my BG5 studies, that fear was huge. I just was constantly looking over my shoulder, worried about the past catching up with me. And when I learned that that's what this fear is about, oh man, it was so much easier to just let it go and realize, oh wow, okay, I have this instinct for a reason. It's just to keep me alert, but I don't need to hang on to all the baggage. I can let it go and just realize in the moment that when I have those hits, it's just to pay attention and make an intelligent choice based on what has happened in the past. So so those are the things. And I also did experiment a little bit in the beginning with the smell aspect of it. And it's really interesting how sensitive my smell is and how I've actually turned it off most of the time just to move through life, because everything can smell overwhelming. I remember we went to a large sporting event and I thought, I'm just going to practice smelling while I'm here. And it was the first time I not only smelled all the great food smells, but I started to smell how different everybody smelled to me. And that the only people I was really comfortable being around that smelled good to me was my own family, my own tribe. So it is very powerful. And just being aware that it's a thing and to pay attention to it. And it also can come up in language that you use. Something doesn't smell right here, or that smells fishy, or when it, like you were saying, it's a deeper sense of smell. It's more of an intuitive knowing. But the words you use to describe it can often be words of scent, like, ooh, that smells sweet. Or just even saying sweet, that, it gives you that sense that this smells good in that deeper way. So those are the things that come to mind for me right now.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, Shelley. And if there is someone who has trait 44, we would love to hear from you in a little bit after we go through our panel. So be prepared. If you do have trait 44, we would love to hear from you. Let's go to Natalie. Now, Natalie, you don't have trait 44, but you do have 26 on the other side. So I'm curious on your experience in working with, or your experience with the 44, which you don't have, but you do have the 26 as the harmonic trait.
Yeah. So it's interesting. It is in my environment. So, and actually I am there now. So it's my future direction, or Is that what it's called in
Mhm,
English?
mhm,
I
mhm.
just have Dutch in my mind because I just did my free webinar in Dutch. Anyway, so it's more for me to notice in my environment, so to say, in other people. First go to somebody else. It's harder for me to tune into it.
Right, exactly. And one of the things when you don't have it, sometimes it is hard to tune into it or really to understand it. Even if you have the trait, the harmonic trait on the other side,
Or if
sometimes
it's
it can be,
unconscious,
and
then
it's
sometimes you also don't really kind of know it straight away.
right, exactly. So I would love to go to Chris and Boris now. Chris and Boris, neither of you have either trait 44 or 26. So this is, in a sense, an area that you can also pay attention to and also be very wise about as well. So let's start with Chris.
Perfect. That was great that you said that, because I was just going to say the way it shows up for me, because I don't have the 44 or the 26, is that it's someone else's job. It's like when you're at work, it's someone else's job. It's not my job. But as I'm listening to Shelley talk about her experience, what occurs to me is that there's potential wisdom here for me to be able to spot and to reflect back to other people who do have this trait, what I'm noticing. And it made me think about some of the people in my own work journey that do have the 44 or have, and how that shows up. So one of the examples I have is one of my clients. His name is John, and John has a natural skincare line for people who are outdoors, and they also, in this product line, is also good for animals. So it's all natural. You can use it on humans or you can use it on pets. So you buy one product and you take it with you, and his products smell amazing. And what's interesting is he doesn't have the 26 on the other side, but he knows who he needs to partner with to put his products into the shop so that he can actually sell the products. Or not him specifically, but the people who are going to represent his brand and really do it justice and really move the products out into the marketplace. The other example I have is that I have a friend of mine who is an executive vice president over an HR team, and she's really focused on developing the talent pipeline in her business. So when Shelley was talking about her corporate memories and corporate experience, it just really was like an aha for me that, every quarter we would sit down and we would assess people and where they're at, and, what the development plans are and what the assessment is. And also it reminded me of corporate contracts and corporate communications, being able to handle the egos of all those different competing messages and areas of the business, but also being protective of the growth of the business through those corporate contracts. One of the other things that I had read about this particular trait that was really interesting to me is that it really is able to understand how corporate and work propaganda works. So that's really where the corporate communications can come in. If you do have trait 44, being able to message appropriately to get your agenda moved forward in a way that doesn't put people off or that speaks into the egos of other people. So yeah, that's really some of the examples I have.
Yeah, brilliant, Chris. And I love what you said to start everything off, because I think we realize that, what we have in our design is, in a sense, our job, and what we don't have in our design is not our job, right? It really is for someone else. So to be able to recognize those that have this talent, especially in the corporate arena or in a business, to know that, what, this is something that I really don't have. I need someone who does have this to really get the message out into the marketplace, into the tribe, into, ultimately, if it gets to the tribe, it ultimately then seeps into the collective as well. So very brilliant. Thank you so much, Chris. And let's go to Boris. And Boris, also, you don't have the 44 or the 26, so you don't have this strength nor either of the traits.
I'm completely blank there, and it's actually interesting because my survival instinct function is quite heavily defined. I have 5 traits in there out of the 7. And this one doesn't resonate with me at all. It's just like, it's there. Somebody else has it. It's okay, like Chris just mentioned. What I have on the other side, though, is the emotional intelligence. So where Shelley was talking about the smelling, like I smell talent, I can hear it, which is like on the other side of the emotional intelligence function. And hearing the emotions of people, I think this is just looking at it. It's the opposite side, a different sense that comes into the play. And it's very interesting just to understand these subtle differences, which kind of give the same direction or notion or whatever, but yeah, different senses kind of involved. And when I just rethought the wheel, the mandala, where all these traits are lying, it always amazed me that all these traits in the survival instinct function are all next to each other. So they hop, 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 hop. And that is like the only place where it is like that. So all the 7 traits follow each other. And then as well in the circuitry, it's about cooperation. So really finding the right people to collaborate and work with. And to me, when listening now to what Shelley said before, what Chris said, or what you said, I think this is it, finding the right people to work with and then to sell whatever needs to be sold as a product. So this is something I will take with me now for understanding what 44 and 26 are doing. So quite amazing. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Beautiful. And again, you can see sometimes if you don't have it, it's kind of like, oh, like you said, you have the survival instinct so defined, but this is one that is a little bit more elusive. And again, it's not your job, it's someone else's job. And I think when we can recognize the brilliance of both what we have and what our gifts and skills and talents are, and then recognize that there's things that we just don't have that are not our gifts and talents. And it's not that oftentimes we think, oh, this is a weakness and I have to work hard to, overcome this weakness. No, it's not. It's not a weakness. It's just not your job. You don't have it defined. It's not something that is consistent and reliable in you. And therefore it's someone else's job. Love it.
Just
Great.
add something, Karen, here, because
Yes.
that is something that just reminded me. Everybody is unique.
Yes.
And not everybody is the same. So processes in companies, yes, they give a frame, but treating everybody the same way just doesn't work. Like you just said, we have so subtle and sometimes more obvious differences in just our design. And I think this is the beauty of looking at it from a BG5 angle, that to bring out the potential, to bring out the strength of a unique individual, that a unique individual can cooperate with others. And I think this is the future for me. This is, put the human in the center, not like the machines or the robots or the process or whatever, the humans. The humans are producing, the humans are buying, the humans are selling. And I think this is for me clearly the way forward. I think this is, in all the talks we have in the BG5 Lives, this is what comes out. Everybody is unique. And just I have to speak it out. Sorry. Thank you.
Yes. No, and that really is the point. I mean, in being able to see, Shelley has the strength. Neither you or Chris have the strength. Natalie and I have the harmonic trait in the 26, and it all operates very, very differently. Yeah. Thank you so much for that, Boris. And Natalie, is there anything that you would are now ready to add?
Yeah. Yes, it was good to listen to the other people. So the 26 is the salesperson, and the strength of the transmitter is here to sell people on what they need. So you are able to transmit to people what they need to hear, and you may not tell everything there is, but you kind of tune into what they need to hear to take advantage of what is out there or something. So if you only have the 26, like I do, and what I observe in people, but what you probably really observe in me, I am like, when it comes to getting enthusiastic about something and just go over the top in selling it. I can go over the top in selling it. And then the 44 on the other side can kind of chill me down and put it into perspective of what is achievable, or what is everything you see over here, right? So whether it's what is healthy in the moment or not, right? Where I go like boom, that is what the 26 can do for me. So we also say that the 26 is hot and the 44 is cold. And that is kind of what they do for each other, how it's balanced out, right? And if you have the full strength like Shelley does, that is internally balanced. But so that is how it operates if you have the harmonic trait.
Yes. Yeah. Beautiful, Natalie. It's kind of like the 26. I also have the 26, but not the 44. It's like, oh, and the fish was this big. And then the 44 comes in and it's like, well, actually it was this big.
Yes.
So the 44 keeps
and
we
the
don't
ego
do that, of the 26 in check.
Yeah, we don't do that to kind of lie, but we are so enthusiastic that we kind of exaggerate first, and then we go like, well, actually.
Exactly. Well, I would love to hear from anyone who is here live in our Zoom room. If you have this specific trait, I would love to hear from you.
I'd love to add something else to the conversation.
Yeah, sure, Chris.
And that is, I love what Boris just said about, it's interesting that this comes at the end of the survival instinct. And this time of year, there's a lot of pressure to get things done, right? And so I'm just really kind of putting the pieces together that the 44 can really help message to the talent, to the staff, to the organization, the priorities, the reason and rationale, because on the other side, we do have rationalization that grounds this, and that there is a very calculative way that this particular trait works. It's like, it is balanced with rationalization. So it's not just superfluously giving marching orders or handling the egos. There's a very specific agenda, intention, and calculation in the moment by moment, to really help finesse and to move the talent. I have two, what's interesting about this, I have two people that are clients of mine that are both coaches or trainers. And I really see that this is a very strong skill set for that particular group of people, because one of them can actually maneuver and help her clients get the life coaching results that they really need, not necessarily what they thought they wanted. The other person is actually a former EAP trainer. So she would go into organizations and teach wellness. I think that it's interesting that this is an aspect of wellness, and and being able to bring, I can see it all loop back to wellness, to being able to message appropriately. And those were some of the thoughts that came up for me.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, Chris. Yes, Shelley.
I'll just add, that's such great insight, Chris. I love that you have it open, so you're able to see all the different angles of it, where when it's defined, sometimes it's harder for us to actually know what's happening. For me, this is in my what's hidden too, so it just naturally comes out of me. It always has. But I've always been interested in health, and that was a huge part of what I've done in my life. Is people will just come to me. I'm not a health expert, but I've done a lot of my own individual study in it, and people would just end up coming to me and telling me their troubles, and I would just know what they needed, and I would point them to resources or other people they could go see for treatment or for something, because I was broadly read and understood multiple different ways of healing modalities and health and nutrition and all of that. So I have a lot of people that just show up and want me to tell them what they can do to be more healthy. And I've also had situations happen where I've been in the presence of people who were really, really sick and didn't know it. But I did, and I knew it instantly. And I never would say anything, but I would find out later that that wasn't so. This is very instinctual, very in the moment, and it does come with that deep knowing. And when I was younger and I had all this information, I thought everybody else knew it too. And I would just state a fact or two and think that other people would know what to do with what I had said. But it took me a really long time to realize they didn't know what I was talking about. So I really enjoy that part of it. I really love being that connected with others. And it does really help in coaching as well, because people will come to me with a big story of what they think is going on for themselves in their life. And I'm able to see through to what's really happening and can then help guide them through that, that part, just instinctively. So I really enjoy that part of this strength as well. And you mentioned something earlier too about corporate communications. I was always involved in that because everything I was doing had to broad impact across the organization. So there was always big messaging that had to be right to do exactly what you mentioned. We had to relay what we knew needed to be done in the now in order for the business to proceed and succeed. And we had to be very careful how we crafted it so that people could get the message clearly. They could actually understand why we were doing what we were doing so that we could get as many people on board with it as possible. But not in a way to manipulate everybody, more to just help everybody get on the same page and be able to move forward as a large group. So there's a lot of effort that goes into that crafting of getting the right messaging. So
I worked on corporate communications briefly, and that team just incredibly changed my perspective on what was possible, because there were communication and branding guidelines that they had for every message, and it had to particularly be phrased in specific ways, and the content needed to be just right, and they would go through and scrutinize it over and over again, because it was going out halfway around the world to hundreds of thousands of people. So there is this amazing quality about it, understanding the restrictions that need to be enforced in a systematic way so that there is a success that gets driven forward.
Right. And the branding is a big part of it. That 26 is about sales and marketing. That is all about branding and being on message, so that your message is clear and consistent, because if it's scattered or confusing, you don't get a clear way forward. Where that's why people spend so much time to make sure their message is on brand and clear and all the guidelines are followed, so that you can get a clear transmission to the talent, to everybody working in the organization that are helping you move forward. So
I just had an insight from what you said, and it just made me realize, since I don't have this this strength at all, or even this trait, when I try to do my own sales and marketing, it plummets. So it's really a clear indication for me that this is a partnership trait that could really benefit somebody who doesn't have the 44 or the 44-26 in their design. So thank you for that awareness.
Yes, great point.
Yeah,
Yes,
brilliant.
I love your insights.
Yes. And what's interesting, again, this is we have the word manipulate the ego, and also manipulating the memory of the tribe as well. Now, we often think of manipulation in a negative context, but in many respects, when you have to get a message out to a large group of individuals, and that's what we're talking about with the tribe. It could be in the entire organization. It could be something larger, something smaller. But when, just like what Shelley and Chris were talking about, the messaging has to be correct. And that messaging is not only externally, right, to the public, it's also what Shelley and Chris were just talking about, the internal communication as well. So it's both internally, the communication, so that everyone is on board and going in the same direction, yet also making sure that it's aligned with what gets displayed outwardly as well, especially when it comes to business and organizations. Yeah, brilliant. Beautiful. Anyone who is here in our Zoom room that would like to share their experience, either in having trait 44 or in working with or knowing someone who has trait 44?
So I see that Corinna has both trait 44 and 26, but she's very new and would prefer not to speak today. So I hope it's fine that she's just listening.
Absolutely.
She
Absolutely.
sent me that, privately.
And
So
hopefully
that's
you've learned a
perfect.
lot today too.
Exactly. Yes.
Beautiful.
And I think Moxie also really liked it. And now she is she lays right down on your it's so funny, your cat. Always when Karen goes live, she kind of senses it and she comes like really wants to be in the picture. And so
yeah, amazing. Anything anyone on Facebook, again, if you're watching via Facebook Live, we're also monitoring the chat there, so if you have any questions, any comments, anything that anyone would like to share, and anything our panel, anything else that has come up that as we go through this discussion, you may have gotten an additional aha. I don't know, Boris, if you've had an additional aha as we've been going through this information.
It's actually, for me, extremely funny to observe the discussion today and just to see what is happening with these different traits or strengths and how then communication happens, how like every life that we had so far, the different topics, the different traits, the different strengths behind the centers, functions, the communication around it is different. And just by listening to now what Shelley said, all this communication, all this like to the point, all kind of correct, all in the right sequence. This is for me what I take with me today. It's like the sequence, correct information that is just having everything inside what needs to be communicated in a way that everybody gets it. It's awesome. I think, having never experienced that before, the 2644, this is awesome. It's I'm actually a bit jealous not having this strength within me. But yeah, as said, I mean, my survival instinct function is well defined, so I'm quite okay with it. And it's seeing the other person's strength. And what I start observing more and more, the way of talking, the communication, if it's authentic, if it's out of the right intrinsic decision-making process, it just resonates with people. This is what happened to me. I mean, I don't have anything in there, but it's like, this feels so right. This is just correct, that I can easily accept that I don't have it. And that's, I think, for me, is one of the beauties, like really see, I don't need to have that. I'm very well equipped with what I have. I don't need to be jealous and things like that. And that is what I really like. And paying attention to the way people communicate. In the meantime, I have a good sense of this function might be defined, or this strength might play a game here. And it's very, very interesting. And seeing Shelley with her strength here, it was like, wow, yes, now I understand. And now I definitely know what corporate communication is about and why it's so important. Yes. Thanks a lot. So
thank you, Boris. And we have Rebecca, who would like to share something. So.
Yes, Rebecca, and I think you have this strength. You have the transmitter. I think you have both, right?
I do. It was actually interesting when Shelley was talking, and it's like, oh, what's healthy and what's not, and I'm going, oh yeah, have 2 professional healthcare licenses. So I just have such an affinity for anything that's healthy. And I think and of course it never ends, which is why, of course, I'm studying BG5, because again, this is about health. In like the most basic sense that if we know how we're designed and we don't have to defend or make excuses for what we are or what we're not, it cuts down stress innumerably. And anyway, so I thought that was interesting. And then I guess the smell success or smell around, I'm going, I feel like it's very literal for me. It's like, oof, smells are really hard for me. But anyway, just it was a good topic, and I'll think more about the smells aspect too. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Yeah. And again, you can start to see all the different aspects. And again, interesting that, again, you're so focused on health. And I think, as you said, BG5, even though what we're focused on is the business application, the ability to take in the information and relax, knowing what you are and knowing what you aren't, eliminates tons of stress. And oftentimes where we end up getting sick is when we are stressed out, when we're trying to be what we're not. And simply aligning with our own design gives us a sense of peace or satisfaction or success or surprise that allows us to just naturally be who we are and eliminates a lot of stress, which also allows us to be and operate in a much more healthy way. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Natalie.
No, yeah. So Daniela, if you want another
sure.
experience, he has the 26 on the other side. So
yes, Daniela, if there's something you'd love to share, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I resonate with you guys when you were telling about having 26 and being enthusiastic. I really have the same thing, but what I also realized is the 44 that I don't have. But I have taken a health coach and she has it. So I just realized that what I don't have, I found with somebody else. And it's going to help me. So this is a nice, interesting way to see that I choose the right person apparently for what I need.
Yes, cool. Yes. And that's really brilliant as well. Again, when we don't have the harmonic trait, when we don't have what's on the other side, we naturally attract what we don't have. And it can really support you in, especially since it's a health coach, it can definitely help you in, maintaining the health and maintaining your immune system in that way as well. I love that. Yeah,
so
beautiful.
I learned something new. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Danielle. Perfect. I love it. Amazing, amazing discussion. Thank you to each and every one of you. Again, it's brought some really deep insights and different ways of looking at trait 44 and specifically how trait 44 shows up in business. Now, the interesting thing is as we go through all of these traits, it is also the trait that is there in the background frequency. So this week, we can also experience more of trait 44, even if we don't have it. To be able to experience, we may find ourselves being more alert, or again, sometimes it can throw us off track and sometimes it can condition us, especially if we don't have it. But it's something to pay attention to, is where we start to see this 44 of alertness in our environment and what we're experiencing and what we see in the world as a whole. So to wrap everything up, again, thank you, everyone. It has been an amazing discussion. And if you are interested in diving in deeper and understanding a deeper aspect of how all of these traits and strengths and the definition within your design and the shadows within your design, how it all works, we recommend starting with the BG5 foundation course. It is the perfect place to start. I'm going to turn it over to Natalie briefly. She has a foundation course coming up in Dutch. She just did a webinar in Dutch to promote her foundation course. So Natalie.
Yeah, so when you go to the website to the foundation course, you find under the semester 1, you will see this, and that the date is November 14th, also on a Tuesday night. So for the Dutch people, it is at 7 o'clock at night. So it's right before BG5 Live at 10 o'clock. Now it's 9, but that's because of the time difference. So you can be in the course and then join for the BG5 Live, which is what I do. So on the 14th is actually a free trial class. So if you click on few details here on the website, you can sign up for the free trial class. And if you go to the free resources on our website, you can also tomorrow find the recording under BG5 in Dutch, Nederlands item. And then you can find the recordings of today's webinar, de 9 tips om het negatieve stemmetje in je hoofd te doen zwijgen. That was Dutch.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, again, invite you to be a part of our foundation course. You can see we have it in Dutch. We also have it offered currently in Chinese and Romanian, and I will be teaching the BG5 foundation course starting in January. I don't often teach the foundation course. I often teach more of the advanced courses. So if you are interested in joining me for the foundation course,
Yes.
we will be doing it in English starting in January. So invite you to join us. Also, we have a strategy session. So, for example, Banu and myself and the other instructors have an opportunity to get a strategy session. This is also a really great place to start if you're not quite sure if you want to move forward or not. Doing a strategy session with one of the instructors is a brilliant way to get involved. And with the strategy session, you also get a full report as well. So you can get your full report and a strategy session. Yes.
Yeah, and very soon, tomorrow or the day after, this will also be there, and then you can do it in Dutch as well.
Yes.
With me.
So Natalie will be here. It will be here soon as well.
Yeah.
Again, this is also a really great place to start if you are wondering if this is correct for you. Having a conversation and getting your report can get you on the right track. And again, whether you want to take one of the courses or whether you just want to do a one-on-one coaching or consulting, or you want to potentially bring us to your team, or you're a leader and want to learn how you are specifically designed to lead, this is a perfect starting point. All right. It has been, again, an amazing discussion. Thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone who is here. Next week, we will dive into purpose fulfilled through transformation with the very first trait in trait 1. This is the creativity to set us up in a new direction. So that's what we'll be taking a look at next week. So once again, if everyone wants to get on camera and we can sign off for today. Again, great to have each and every one of you here with us today. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. And we will sign off for today. So if you want to unmute yourself and say goodbye, we will sign off for today, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.